In this video, we will learn how to use multiple arguments when we write methods in Java. Let's start by creating a rectangle object in the memory. We know that by calling setWidth and setLength, we can set the instance fields of our object. So what if we want to set the length and width in the same step? Can we do that? In general, the method's header accepts any number of parameters as long as you declare its data type and separate them by commas. Then how can we create a method that sets the length and width together? Let's analyze it. I will call this method set. To set the length and width, which are doubles, I need two inputs, a new length and a new width. Inside the method, I will assign these new values to my length and width. And since it's a setter, I expect no output from this method, and that's why the return type will be set to void. To convert this into a code, we define it as a public method with a void return type, the name is set, and it takes two double inputs separated by commas. And the assignment statements form the body of that method. Then to translate this into a UML, we add a new set method, then a plus sign for being public, followed by the name of the method and the two parameters, then a colon and the return type void. Now, how do we use this method in our application? You can call the setInstance method of the instance box. For any method, what we pass as inputs is referred to as the arguments of the method. This matches the method parameters that we defined in the class. And inside the method, we set the instance fields or attributes to the values stored in the parameters of the method. So what happens is that the arguments are copied and stored in the parameters in the same order they are declared in the method header. Then the fields are set to these values. That's why documentation of a code is very important. As a person who wants to use the method set, I need to be told how it's represented. If I pass 10 and 20, what does that mean for the method? Which one is assigned to the length and which one is assigned to the width? Notice that the values 10 and 20 are copied to the method's parameters because the arguments in Java methods are passed by value. The values 10 and 20 will be passed to the parameters. Also, if it's a reference variable, the value stored in the stack memory of the reference variable, which is the address, will be the value that is passed to the method. We will discuss this in detail in a future video. In this demo, we will discuss how to create a method with multiple parameters. So we have the old rectangle class, which has the setLength, setWidth, getLength, getWidth, and getArea that returns the multiplication of length and width. And what I want to do here is that I want to create a method that can set the length and width in a single step. All right, so a single method that can set length and width at the same time. So this can be created as public. Since it's a setter, it returns nothing. It returns void, the data type. I'm going to call it set to represent setting the whole rectangle, which is not just the length or width. And it's going to take two inputs, which is new length and double new width. And then inside this method, I'm going to do the assignment, which is length is equal to new length and width is equal to new width. And that's it. So if I go here, I can set the length separate, set width, which is going to give me something like this, right? It sets the length and width, but I could replace this whole thing, these two lines, by just saying box dot set and just pass these num and 90, for example. All right, and let's set this to 78. All right, compile, run, and that's what we get. So in this case, it takes num 78 here, takes 90 here, pass these by value, which means that it takes a copy of these two values, 78 and 90, and it goes to here, sets new length to it, to the 78, and sets the new width to be 90. And then what it does is that it takes the 78 from here as a local variable, it sets it to the length, and then it takes the 90 and it sets it to the width. All right, now notice here that I could switch these two, right? But then what does that mean for you? So I could switch these two like this. All right, notice here that it's Java will do what you just tell it to do. So here in this case, length was 78, width is 90. If I switch them, they will be switched, because the way rectangle is defined, the set method is defined, is that it takes the length first, right? I know that because it sets that value to the length, and then it takes a value that sets to width. So that's why the order matter. Whatever you set here first will be mapped to new length, which will eventually be assigned to length. So for you, that's the length, that's the width. All right, so that's why you need to be careful as you use the method. You have to read the documentation, you need to know how was it defined and how to use it properly.